Welcome to the station crew. Enjoy your stay.
Out of all service departments, botany is the most mechanic heavy one, so I'm going to cover it in multiple episodes. Before planting anything, I want to prepare the fertilizers and explain their logic, but first let me summarize the botany basics without going too deep. When you want to grow something, first you need seeds, and usually you get them in the vending machine where you can find a variety of seeds and exchange them for credits. But we don't have such leisure in our playthrough, and I can only work with the seeds that we found in the botany on the table. You can also find some fruits on the map and extract seeds from them, or grow random weeds and mushrooms, and this is the main source of food for me right now. Then you need a place where to grow the seeds, and the usual one and the most basic one is the soil that has a 100 units capacity of water and up to 15 units of nutrients. But usually in the botany they use hydro trays that come with a higher capacity for nutrients and can even be upgraded further with matter beans. It also has some nice features like autogrow that handles some things for you, and a plumbing port which can deliver the water and nutrients automatically into the tray. But we cannot build the hydro tray right now in this playthrough because it is blocked by human dissection experiment. And we can automate the reagent delivery with IV drips in the soil. That is what I'm going to use to maximize the efficiency of our nutrients. Now let's talk about the stats. Usually when you plant a seed, you can scan it with a plant analyzer and it will show a lot of different stats. I want to separate them into categories that are easier to understand for you. So there are plant lifetime stats that are measured in cycles. Botany cycles are usually 20 seconds. So when you see a maturation of 5, it means that it's 5 times 20 seconds. It's the amount of time the plant needs to grow from the sprout to a fully matured plant. And once it matured, it will take the production cycles to deliver the first fruit. The production is also measured in the cycles in 20 seconds. And the plant will be aging also in the cycles until it reaches its lifespan. And once the lifespan is reached, it will start receiving the random damage from 1 to 6 until the health reaches 0 and the plant withers. The plant has maximum health equal to endurance, and it has this maximum amount right from the beginning when you plant the seed until the very end, where it reaches lifespan and it will start slowly ticking down. But the plant may also die if you harvest the fruits, unless the plant has the perennial growth trait that will let you harvest multiple times from the single plant. When you harvest a fruit from the plant that has a perennial growth, it will reset back to its matured state and it will start counting another production cycle until the new set of fruits appears. And it may do it over and over until the lifespan is reached and the plant dies. But usually botanists are interested not in the lifetime stats, but in the stats related to the fruits. And the first one is the potency that determines the fruit size, and with it, the amount of reagents that the fruit has. It also scales the different effects of fruits, but we will talk about those in more details later when we get those fruits. The second stat that is also very important is the yield that spans not from 1 to 100% as potency, but from 1 to 10, and it tells how many items you will get when you harvest the plant. So it is very important to combine these stats when your aim is to get as much good fruits as possible. But there's another stat that may be good or bad for your plant, that is instability. It spans from 1 to 100 as well, and when it is from 1 to 20, there is no effect. It's usually the place you want to be in when your aim is to get as much of the fruits as possible from this particular plant. But if you wish to mutate this plant for some other species, you usually raise the instability, and after 20 start getting random stats up and down, so you may even damage your stats, not just increase them. And after 30, when you harvest a plant that has this amount of instability, you may get one of the fruits of the mutated species without the plant itself mutating. So usually if you want to get another species of the plant, you raise this to be above 30. But if you keep increasing it to 40 and above, it will mutate even harder, changing the stats even more, and later even mutating the plant itself to a different species or giving it some traits. Other than the plant stats, there are also trait stats that are usually bad for you, and you want to keep them in the 0. The first one is the weed level. It damages the yield of the plant and may take over, replacing your plant with some weed. There's the pest level that also damages the plant, but it damages health and reduces the potency of your fruits. And toxicity is simply damaging health. But you can overcome all those issues by using correct fertilizers. The tray consumes 1 unit total of its nutrients every cycle. Cycles are again in 20 seconds. And this 1 unit will be split between the different fertilizers. So if you have 2 fertilizers of equal volume, it will consume 0.5 of each. The effects that come with fertilizers are applied when you have at least 1 unit of the fertilizer in a tray. So you need to make sure that if you want the fertilizer to work, it needs to be above 1 unit or equal to 1 unit. And you can split the effects into 2 groups. The first one is a scaling effect that is the maximum when the tray is full of this particular reagent, and it slowly goes down when you fill the tray and go away. The tray will start consuming the reagent bit by bit until it reaches 1 or 2 units where the effect is the lowest. So if you want to maximize this effect, you want to stay next to the tray and keep topping up the tray with this reagent, or you want to use the IV drip for automation or a reagent network that you build with plumbing. The second type of effect is the constant effect, that is just there when you have at least 1 unit of the reagent in the tray, and it is not scaling. Usually fertilizers combine this effect, so you may find fertilizer that has some good constant effect, like let's say that even if 1 unit is present, it gives you some stat increase for the plant, but it also has some bad scaling effect. So if your tray is full of this reagent, it will not affect the good effect, but it will make the bad effect even worse. So it's a nice thing to balance the fertilizers to keep the good effects in check and make sure that you don't receive any bad effects from the big volumes of the reagent. And the goal to have a good botany round is to make sure that you use correct fertilizers. Let's talk about them a little bit. There is a plenty of reagents considered as fertilizers in the game, but only like 1,000 useful ones. So let me first reduce this list for you. Starting from the bottom, virus food and beer are bad. They just reduce health. Ignore them. Milk is bad. It reduces the seed stats without doing anything else. Ignore it. Napalm, fluorine, phosphorus, all these reagents along with the plant begon are toxins that are killing the plant, killing also weeds and increasing the toxicity in the tray. But there are better things to fight with weeds. That is ash. It does not kill the plant, it actually heals it, and it reduces the weed level without giving toxicity. So use ash if you want to deal with weeds, and ignore all these other reagents that are affecting the weed level. Nutrient just heals a little bit, but you can get a lot of ash instead. Ignore it. Same with the soda water and holy water. There are better reagents to increase the instability. Strange reagent does not affect the seed stats. It is good for other things. Ignore it for now. Blood, sugar, honey, they all increase the weed level and pest level. But the honey has some special mechanic related to pollination, but ignore this for now. It's not worth using it. Peroxidone is the best reagent for healing a plant and reducing the toxicity, but you can reduce the toxicity with the multiver, which, as you already know from the previous episodes, is very easy to make by just making some ash and mixing in some table salt and just heating up the container with the lighter. It will give you roughly 75% purity multiver. That is just easier than the cryoxidone, that is a higher level reagent to make. And instead of this health effect of cryoxidone, you can use ash. That is easy to make also just by burning paper by a generator or by crafting paper from wooden planks, and it will also reduce the weed level. And this 15 health increase will be enough to cover all your damaging effects. So cryoxidone is very niche that is not really worth doing unless you know exactly what you're doing and it is for some specific case. Stabilizing agent reduces the instability, but there's a diethylamine that is easy to make and also provides some other increase in stats, so ignore the stabilizing agent. Uranium and unstable mutagen are very useful when you want to increase the instability, but they may also reduce the health and affect the toxicity, so be aware. To reduce the toxicity from this reagent, you will need multiver, and to heal the plant, you will need ash. That both are easy reagents to get, and ash may even replace the water for you and put your plant essentially on a life support. If you attach a 300 unit beaker to an IV drip and put this IV drip into a hydro tray, your plant may survive for like 2 hours, because this healing will overheal the plant, damaging effects that are coming from the old age or from the lack of water. So just put your plant on an ash and forget about it, and it will just keep producing fruits for you. It will just stay alive. So this is a very good reagent that many do not know about. These green reagents can be created in the biogenerator that we will talk about in the next episode. You can just read it as they're very easy to get by feeding plants to biogenerator and exchanging the biomass for these reagents. But this organic pest killer, weed killer are not very good. As we already said, for pests, you have diethylamine that is easy to make and it will not increase the toxicity. And for pests, you have your ash. So you don't, for weeds. So this weed killer and plant begon are bad because they increase the toxicity while ash does not. Liquid earthquake affects the production, but the saltpeter does it twice better. And the liquid earthquake also makes the seed itself more susceptible to the weeds. So ignore liquid earthquake, not worth doing it. Endure Grow is the only fertilizer that affects endurance. So it's a good if you're aiming for a good drink or food for your chef. Use this reagent when this is your goal. Otherwise, not really needed. Ammonia is just a bad reagent. You can use it to turn it into a diethylamine. So not worth doing as a sole fertilizer on its own, because diethylamine along with saltpeter are the two overpowered reagents that are just don't have any downsides. If you have access to saltpeter and diethylamine, just mix them together, like a bit more of saltpeter, a bit less of diethylamine, and you'll be good to go. And they do not give the instability, but later in the game you will have other means to mutate the plants. The Robust Harvest, Left4Z, and Easy Nutriment are the basic three reagents that you will be able to find everywhere. They're in the vending machine that we have on the station right now, so we will use those. The Easy Nutriment is the basic nutrient responsible for potency increase, while giving a little bit of instability that is a constant effect, is not affected by the volume. Robust Harvest is very similar to it, but it gives a bit more yield than potency, and it, on the other hand, gives a constant reduce of the instability. That these two are usually combined by people to negate the instability effect. And Left4Z is a very simple reagent that has a volume-based effect to increase the instability, that also heals the plant a little bit. So other than that, you can see that there are some stats that can be affected by grafting. and we will talk about grafting also in the next episode. For now, let me just filter out the somewhat useful reagents, and let's figure out what mixtures can we make. So again, I will be using the IV drip for Botany. So I want to know what kind of mixtures we can use when we have a constant volume of 15 nutrients in the tray. So you see right now, first, Easy Nutriment and Robust Harvest are abundant reagents that we can use, and to negate the instability, it makes sense to just mix them 50-50. Let's try putting 8 and 8. So you can see that they give quite a lot of stats, negating the instability. I'm putting 8 and 8, giving total 16, because 50-50 means that there will be 7.5 units of each, and 7.5 will round up to 8, giving us essentially the same effect as if there was 8 of this reagent. So it's a good one, but let's compare with some other things. So this is Easy and Robust Harvest 8, and they give these stats. Let's see what we can do to change the stats a little bit. So first, if I only want the potency and I don't care about instability, okay, I can put 15 units of Easy Nutrient, but let me put only a little bit of Robust Harvest, because this 2 units of yield increase is not really needed. The yield spans from 1 to 10, as you remember, and the plant usually grows about 10 cycles. So yield should be somewhere around 1, because 2 will just raise it to 10 very quickly, and this effect will be unnecessary. We could use some potency increase instead, or reduce the instability. So if I add 1 Robust Harvest and reduce the Easy Nutrient by 1, you see that it changes to 4-1, but it negates the increase in instability. So let's check what else we can do. So if I reduce the Easy Nutrient to 13, it will be the same for 1, 12, the same for 1, and 11, it's the place where it gets reduced, because the Easy Nutrient gives 0.3 potency per volume, and when it's rounded, it makes this step in the stat increase. So I want to keep the Easy Nutrient amount around 12, because I want to preserve this for potency. But let's check if we can increase the yield given from Robust Harvest to be like 4.2. If we fill this like so, yep, you can see that Robust Harvest, since it gives 0.2 per volume per unit, or 3 units of Robust Harvest give us 0.6 increase instead in yield, thus giving us 1 additional yield. So this is a very good mixture that is actually better than just giving it 50-50. So as you can see, the Easy 12 and Robust Harvest 3 will give us this. And I will put it actually here so that I know that this is my mixture to get a good stat increase for cheap, because these are in abundance, we have a lot of them, and that's what we will use. But let's figure out what we can do with this saltpeter that we have. We can raise the potency quite high, and it gives us 15 per cycle. That is quite a lot. We have a very little of this saltpeter because we're lacking oxygen reagent, so we want to use it wisely. Let's reduce it to, let's say, 10. We still get the production increase. 5, we still get the production increase. 3, we stop giving the production, so let's bump it to the threshold. So 5 potency, 5 units of saltpeter is good to have in the mixture. Let's think about what else we can do. So other than the 5 potency, we can drop in some reagent to increase the yield, and we have diethylamine for that. So adding just 1 unit will give us the necessary 1 yield increase that in 10 cycles will give us 10, so good. It will also negate the instability effect. It will also heal the plant a little bit and make sure that we have no pests. And other than that, because we already have the instability reduced, we can probably dump in the remaining volume with the Easy Nutrient that will give us 3 additional potency increase every cycle, and also 1 yield. So this is our very strong mixture that we will use to just bump the potency quite a lot. Okay, let's take a look at the other stats. So we have our potency covered, yield also covered. The next thing is instability. I need a mixture that will increase the instability of the plant, and there are 3 reagents here. So first one is the basic one, left4z, that gives us nothing when you have only 1 unit of it, a little bit of instability when there's 5 units, and it scales with volume. But as you can see, the volume does not matter when you use unstable mutagen and uranium. They always have a 50% chance to give 5 instability to the plant. So let's mix in 1 unit of each of those, fill the rest with the easy nutrient, and this will be the most mutating mixture of reagents for us. But there is a risk that the plant may receive a lot of damage, so I want to make sure that the plant is still alive while it's mutating. So probably instead of this left4z, I will put in some multivar first to negate this toxicity from the uranium and unstable mutagen. So 1 is not enough. 2, 3 will make sure that the toxicity is not raising while the uranium and unstable mutagen are in the tray. And the rest 10 will use ash for to heal the plant from this random damage from uranium and unstable mutagen. And this mixture will give me the chance to increase the instability up to 10 per cycle, also healing the plant, also dealing with the weeds, and reducing the toxicity from the unstable mutagen and uranium. So this will be our mutation mixture. So as for the other stats, maturation cannot be affected by the fertilizers here. Production, we have it covered in this potency mix. Lifespan cannot be upgraded, but it can be upgraded with grafting. We will look into it in the next episode. And the endurance, there is only 1 EnduraGrow fertilizer here that we can use. So let's try to fill the entire tray with it. So it gives us 5 endurance, but also damaging the potency and yield. Let's try to reduce it to see how the stat changes. Okay, so you can see that we may reduce the potency damaging effect by 1 without affecting the endurance here. So the threshold is very good here. But when I go to 12, it starts giving me less endurance. Let's go back to 13. And to negate this potency and yield damage, I would put 1 unit of saltpeter and 1 unit of diethylamine, because both of which give 1 stat increase per volume. And thus we will negate this damage to potency. We'll also have a chance to reduce the instability when we use this endurance growing mixture. We will also give some health and make sure that the pests are not there. So if we want to make some good food for cooking, we will use this mixture in our playthrough. So here are the 4 mixtures that I will use. We can make all of them because we have a lot of easy nutriment, robust harvest, saltpeter, we have a little bit, diethylamine, we have more of it. We have the EnduraGrow in the biogenerator that we will fill up with the biomass in the next episode. We have the ash that can be created from paper easily. Multivar, we already know how to make it from the chemistry episode. Unstable mutagen can be easily mixed with the reagents that we have. We only need a very little of it, so like 20 or 30 units will be enough. And the uranium, we can grind some uranium sheets that we have in our ore silo to get the uranium reagents. And we will prepare these mixtures in the next episode and use it to grow some plants.